Okay, folks, welcome. Sorry for that mix-up earlier if you were unexpectedly thrown out of the stream. That was me being bad at this. But, welcome everyone, let's do another stream. Did one yesterday, went pretty well. Got quite a lot of work done actually. Gonna continue with the same stuff in the same vein, but maybe do a little bit more programming perhaps. I have a feeling today's stuff will require a bit more coding. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what comes of this. This is completely unannounced, just like yesterday's stream was. But yeah, let's get going, shall we? So yesterday I worked quite a bit on the mission that takes place here in this base over here, and I got to a point where I kind of have like one whole section of the mission like scripted now. And so basically what I need to do is move on to another part of the mission. This refinery section here is still completely unscripted. I shouldn't perhaps say completely, but mostly unscripted. And it needs to be kind of connected with that. But in particular, I think that the beginning of the mission is kind of clunky, and we need to do something about that. The lighting here looks really weird because I have light maps turned on, but I don't have light maps calculated for this area. So now it looks a little better. This is obviously still undecorated, but you can sort of see this big plane sort of just fading off into the distance and the fog there. And that is where the player is going to enter this area. We have a bunch of test vehicles here that we probably should get rid of. They're not going to be in the mission when you're playing the demo. And so, like here we have a scout vehicle. The scout vehicle is sitting right next to one of the triggers that we need to sort of kick off this mission. Now we can see set true player at junction. So there's like a trigger here that we enter, but this is not actually the correct place for this vehicle. I have a plan, I have a vision in my head for how it's supposed to actually begin this whole thing. And so let's see if we can actually make that happen. So I was thinking that let's see, let's move the free camera here around this place. We can still drive the vehicle here if we just anchor the camera here. So I was thinking that the mission would begin by having this vehicle as well as the mother vehicle, the really big one, sort of driving from the big plane into this area, and the camera would sort of, I can't really show it now, but the camera would sort of nicely blend with this gameplay camera. So we get sort of like a rolling start almost. That could be a pretty cool intro to this whole thing. And then you just continue driving along the road. So let's see if we can make that happen. Currently we also have... do we actually have a mother vehicle here somewhere? I don't think we actually do. We have one in the test vehicle script, actually spawns one in for us. But it's actually spawning in the wrong place. So it's spawning it inside here let's see, load test vehicles. Spawns one of these guys in here. And that's really just so that we can try out this area, make sure that the turn radius for this thing is actually such that we can actually navigate this whole base here. But yeah, the mother vehicle should spawn outside the walls, along with the scout. All of this should be relatively easy to do, but let's see, there can always be something that makes it tricky for one reason or another. Where did my scout go? There it is. Yeah. So actually when you're playing the demo, you're supposed to actually arrive from another place. You're supposed to arrive from this intro level here, which is actually kind of... this is kind of supposed to be out on the big plain that we can see from the other level. You can actually see the path that those guys are driving along. If we turn on the... let's see. Where's that nav mesh? Draw nav mesh. So we can see the nav mesh being shown. We have this sort of reddish area here. This is a road. In particular, this is the center of the road. So it's basically like the thing that the vehicles are aiming for when they are driving along this thing. Which means that there's actually not going to be any gameplay. At least I don't think there's going to be any actual gameplay in this level. This is just a small sort of intro cutscene thing, where the scout and this mother vehicle here are driving along this road. Actually, we still have the old test vehicle model here, so we should probably switch this out for something else. We can see here that it's scripted to drive along let's see, intro nav target. Where's that? Right, intro nav target is over here. So it is it's basically at the end of the thing. It doesn't need to be like exactly at the end of it. You can essentially tell it to go anywhere in the world, and it will try to just use the most economical way to go there. And this road path has a much lower cost than the rest of the terrain. Hi Pi Trader Detective. This is not Mac actually. This game engine is something that I've created myself. The game is in Zig, but the game engine is not. So the gameplay code is essentially Zig, kind of like how Unity is C++, but the games are in C#. That is kind of how the split is set up. Oh, look at this. My scale mannequins are actually cutting holes into the nav mesh. That's stupid. Yeah. That's a really bad thing, actually. I wonder why this one actually isn't cutting a hole into it, but yeah, we need to change that. So let's go into the asset browser and change that. If I can remember where it is, actually, we can turn on a preview here. So it's probably in the game. Maybe it's a development. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so blocks nav mesh needs to be unticked. And that should basically fix it up. And now if we go into, I can shut that down. We don't need the preview anymore. Need to reload the back end. And then we need to actually rebuild the nav mesh. So let's move to one of these places. Yeah, so these scale mannequins here, there's one actually sitting in the air. That's stupid. We can move him down. Scale mannequins are here just, they won't actually show up in the game. Or they will if you put them on a layer that is loaded in the game. But you can see that the layer is called just for scale, and these objects are essentially just here to make it easier for me to model this according to scale. Alright, so now if we rebuild the nav mesh, which will take a little while, now you can see that it doesn't cut a hole into the thing anymore, and that's better. Currently learning Zig for general programming and Godot for gamedev with your daughter. That's awesome. Sounds like fun times. Yeah, I can imagine Zig being very useful for all kinds of tools and apps and whatnot. So right now, if we play this thing, there's a sort of a small intro thingy here, which you can't actually hear the sounds because I'm not mixing them properly here, but it's like an intro sequence here which we should make sure that it actually works. I'm gonna turn down the master volume for myself here because I don't want to listen to this right now. Yeah, this is a work in progress intro animation thingy. But this should give you sort of an idea of where we're going here. So this is sort of like the beginning of the, yeah, and there's some placeholder dialogue here as well. So you have those two vehicles driving over there, and they are now driving along the road, just essentially like following the nav mesh, which still seems to be working, so that's good. And it should automatically load into the next area when they reach a certain point. And that is where the sort of jarring sort of cut comes into play. Actually, yeah, okay. It says cannot travel. Campaign is not active. That's true. And you can see they're actually going through the ground here. The mother vehicle is going to fall down. Hello. And it just falls through the earth. Yeah, because the terrain ends there. Yep, this is a custom-made engine called Basis. Looks a lot more polished since the last time I saw it. Okay, well, thank you. That sounds good. Good that I'm going in the right direction. Right, so yes, we were not able to travel. And that is why, or that is because, shall I say, we're not running the game as you are supposed to run the game. As in, we're not really running the campaign. We're just running the individual level. Let's see if we can actually, I'm gonna quickly check something here. And then we can see if we can travel using the proper way of playing back that thing. So there's an intro travel script. which is called Self-Travel to 1, and 1 is like refinery plane. See World Zig for location IDs. We can look at World Zig here. Yeah, so refinery intro is the one that we were just at, and refinery plane is the one that we're sort of traveling to, so that's why it's 1. And then the lift station is essentially sort of like the other side of that same mission. Okay. I think that actually maps to something in Nemo, which is my what should I call this, sort of database of like all kinds of things in the game. We have something called a campaign state, current level path, set to refinery intro blockout, the path of the level the player is currently in. Yeah, so basically if we run this from here, we might actually end up in one of the levels now. Yeah, it looks like we do. But if we go back to the main menu and click Start New Game, and then we actually run I'm gonna set the volume down again for myself and then play the intro. It's a little long, I know. I should probably make it skippable. But let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look very nice with all of these debug texts and whatever on screen. We can just delete or hide them, not delete them. Yeah, and the dialogue doesn't really make sense in a lot of ways. It's actually kind of old at this point. So now when they reach a certain point in the level, it should automatically transition to the next level, and then we get that jarring sort of transition there, which we want to get rid of. Yep, so now it's loaded. And we get here, and we have a different car, and we have like the mother vehicle is nowhere to be seen, etc. We should essentially like arrive from out there. So I think we'll probably want to place the car somewhere around here. And then have like a nav mesh road thingy that leads through this area. I don't think we have a nav mesh for this yet, do we? But anyway, we call travel to, and that really doesn't tell us much about the actual mission that we want to then start when we are in that level. Yeah, I probably need to think about how that is to actually be triggered. Not exactly sure how long or how I want to do that. I'm reading your comments. How long has this been in development for now? This has been in development for about a year. With the asterisk that this is sort of like the second incarnation of this project. So there was a previous one which was called or codenamed Project Slide. But it was not written in Zig, so all the Zig stuff has been written during the past year. Let's toggle off the light maps again. There's a video playlist on the channel called Transmissions, if you want to take a look. And the first transmission, called Transmission 000, that is sort of like the first video where I outline my plan for this thing. And they're kind of long and rambly, but that is sort of the beginning of this game. So let's have a look here. We are going to want to have a nav mesh. We do have a nav mesh actually. Interesting. It's probably way out of date. Yeah, you can see like there's stuff here in the air and everything, because this level has actually progressed a whole lot since I last built the nav mesh. You can see here there used to be like a mountain here apparently. All of that stuff is underground. And this used to look different than all of that. All right. Let's just YOLO it and rebuild the thing. See if it works out of the box. It does not. Attempt to allocate array of size 0. Okay. Try to ignore that. See what happens. might just work. Yeah, the web GPU video, that is the same tech, that's the same engine as this. I had already done a game prototype in Zig at that point, but the main project, the one that I used for the web GPU video, that was using the previous incarnation that I mentioned, which was C++. I was experimenting with Zig. I've been using Zig since like 2019 or something. And yeah, that wasn't Zig, that game specifically, but I had already done stuff with Zig. Right, so there's a little bit of quality of life things that I need to look at with the nav mesh generation, but like overall it looks pretty good. This is something stupid. Like I don't know what's happening here. It's sort of like determining probably that the angle is too like the slope is too steep. But it does it in this really interesting pattern. That's strange. And here's kind of like the same thing. Obviously, like you're not even supposed to be up here, so I'll probably need to filter those out. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Yeah, and these actually block the nav mesh as well. So that's not good. But I'm sure we can fix that. Yeah. So let's have a look at that road thing. So you can create a road with something called a nav mesh area path. And maybe we can nest it under this one actually. How does this work? I need to familiarize myself with this again. Right, use parent layer control point. If we don't do that, then control point layer name. Okay. Right, okay. It wants its own layer for the road. That's probably fine. Let's add a new layer. Let's call this something like main road. Probably like nav mesh main road. And this thing actually doesn't need to exist at runtime, so I'm not gonna load it. You can see here that it doesn't have a lightning bolt next to it. And in that we can create the path, and then it wants waypoints to actually define the path. So here we can see these circles, and that is sort of the road right there. Let's see, nav mesh, we can turn that off. Thickness probably, yeah. The most important thing here is that you keep this sort of wide enough so that it doesn't actually get cut off midway through, but it doesn't need to be as wide as the actual like visual road. It can be just like a very thin stripe in like the middle. It's basically like where you want the cars to drive, where you want the car to aim for. I do not stream on Twitch. No, I haven't actually been streaming very long. Hey Tutu, nice to have you back. I haven't been streaming very long actually. I just realized at some point that many of the videos that I put out are just sort of like stream-like. It's basically just me doing some work and turning on the camera. So I might as well just stream it. But no, I don't stream on Twitch. I don't really know anything about Twitch. Is there a reason why I should stream on Twitch? If there is, then I guess I might consider it. Okay, something like that. And then we need to make sure that this is set to road, which it is. And now if I remember correctly, I should be able to just build this. And it should pick up that path there. Like so. And we have our road here looking pretty good. So basically now if we want to, we could maybe actually I'm gonna make it narrower. There's no reason it's this wide. And yeah, one annoying thing is that I don't really filter out any stuff from the nav mesh generations. We have like nav mesh in places where there really doesn't need to be any. Yeah, see this now it got a little too narrow, at least for the current nav mesh settings, because it sort of cuts off. It would still probably choose to like roughly drive this way, but yeah, that's probably not good enough. So let's put it back to like 3 maybe. Maybe we can do it, make it 4. Something like this. Right, yes. Sorry, I had to take a phone call there. So, I muted my microphone for a bit. But yes, I was basically just making sure we don't have any holes here while I was talking to my wife about family business. We don't have any holes or any sort of cuts in this road. This looks pretty good. You can visualize which sort of paths the vehicles are trying to take, and it usually sort of means that they try to take the shortest path. So if we have like some part of the road where there's like a curve, it will probably like try to stay pretty close to this edge here and then go this way. Yeah, and the visualization is a little wonky sometimes. Here you can see like a hole in the nav mesh. It's technically like 2D, so just essentially looked at from above, so that's not a problem. It's just that the recast library that I'm using is drawing this sometimes a little weirdly. Yeah. Yeah. Regarding the discoverability of live streams, yeah, I've come to realize that YouTube is perhaps not the best platform to do live streaming on. I don't really necessarily mind if there aren't that many viewers on these live streams. I kind of just put on the camera and then do some work, to be honest. So if someone wants to follow along, then you're welcome to do so. But it's not like I really kind of depend on there being lots and lots of viewers. Okay. Let's make sure this actually works. We can do something something interesting here. So let's create a new layer. Let's call this something. What should we call this? It's going to be completely throwaway. Let's call it Bob. The layer named Bob, and under the Bob layer we'll put the Scout. This is Bob's car, and Bob can start way over here. I think if we want Bob to actually drive somewhere, we have to set Bob's brain to be active, and then we can order them to move somewhere. Move to object, and he wants a target object. Yeah. Okay. So let's put a target object somewhere, and let's see which way it actually takes. Put like a target object right way over here, the other side. So we have this object here, and we'll yeah, it can just be put there. We can add a function here, I think. Dev void drive Bob, drive self move to object, and then we want to target that object, so we do level objects Bob waypoint 1, and we can set that to auto load. I haven't used this for a while, probably like half a year or something, so let's see if my AI still works or if that deteriorated. So we have our own car, and there is Bob all the way over there. All right. Drive, Bob, drive. Now we get to see the route that Bob will take. And obviously I need this because I want the vehicles to stay on the road. It's not like super important for this intersection because the road is pretty straight, so I could just put like a waypoint somewhere. But if I later on go and edit it... Oh no! Oh no! Damn it, Bob. Alright. Bob is not the best driver, but I guess they'll manage. Right, so interestingly they took this path, this road here. But it's fine. I guess this might be the shorter way according to some metric somewhere. And Bob should drive along the road like kind of like until they decide that it's no longer any doesn't make sense or doesn't make any difference if they drive along the road or not, which should be right about now. Yeah, okay, that looks like it's working. So probably what happened there, why Bob drove into me, is that I'm guessing I'm actually missing a certain component from this vehicle. Let's see. If I turn on the nav mesh rendering, nothing happens, right? And that is because the nav mesh exists on the server. Let's see, what is the... Oh, it's actually probably a C++ component, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, the nav mesh exists on the server, and so we need to actually we need to run the server on the same thread as the client if you want to visualize the nav meshes in the game. But we can do that. I need to just make sure here that we have test vehicle. You should have a nav mesh obstacle component. Yeah, the genre is probably can probably be described as like puzzle exploration. Let's see, means vehicle, blah blah blah. Debug object, AI driving. Yeah. So if we add a component and we add a nav mesh obstacle component. The radius is... Well, the obstacle type is probably fast moving. I think it is fast moving if I remember correctly how this works. I wrote this like 3 years ago or something. Let's make the radius 3. Maybe 2.5, I don't know. Well, we'll see. And we save that. That should make the vehicle cut a hole into the nav mesh when it's stationary or when it's sort of slow enough. And then we can add another game command line parameter here called server thread false, I think it is. What is the equivalent of it? Interesting question. I don't know if there are any games exactly like this. It's not as simulation-y as Spin Tires. It's much more arcade. But there are some similarities. Like you can lift things, for example. I will demonstrate to you in a second. Let's just make sure that we have the now we have the nav mesh, and now we can see that we're cutting out a piece. And if we drive away, it should actually it should go away, and then it comes back when it's slowing down again. The radius is a bit too small still. Let's make that probably like 3.5. Because like you kind of want to make it large enough so that the agents don't. I'm gonna mute the game again. So the agents don't run into you. So like now Bob will, for example, you should be able to drive past you, but his center will be like over here. So I want to leave like a little bit of space there. Right. Yeah. If you have the mother vehicle, for example, like this, we can make the mother vehicle or avatar like this. We can spawn like a power cell, or we can even spawn a vehicle here. We can spawn another scout there, for example. You have this cargo crane, which you can use to lift things, and this is how you're kind of supposed to solve a lot of the puzzles in the game. It's like how do you actually get from one place to another? All right, so you can do this. You can lift this guy, and the limits of the crane are still a bit undefined. Things like this, and then you can put them down. You can even switch to this vehicle now while it is still being held. But of course it doesn't help all that much trying to drive it when it's being held like this. So yeah, I don't know exactly what the equivalent would be. This is also set in sci-fi universe, so that makes it a little less realistic, I guess. Yeah, and there you can see the nav mesh being cut a hole into there. I can actually still drive this while it's being held in place, but bad stuff will happen. You can see that physics is kind of glitching out a little bit. So yeah, let's switch back to that and let go of the vehicle. All right, let's see how Bob does now that we have the nav mesh obstacles in place. We can leave the nav mesh visible. So now Bob should avoid the original vehicle because it's stationary, so it's cutting a hole through the nav mesh there. Let's see if Bob actually does it. Well, he tried to turn, yeah. There's something still missing from the AI system, something that I call the whisker system, which is like a bunch of ray casts that the agent sort of fires from the front, essentially trying to figure out what is coming in front of me. And that sort of thing will help it make good decisions on things like that. If we made the radius larger there, it would probably manage without those, but yeah, it tried to turn, but it turned like 1 meter or 2 meters before hitting the vehicle. It doesn't really help if you're driving at like 80 kilometers per hour or something. Anyway, this looks promising. Looks promising. Yeah, and now you can see that when it stopped, it actually also cut a hole into the nav mesh. So that's good. Alright, cool. Is it just like a regular nav mesh? Yeah, it is. So I'm using recast and detour, which you can just Google. And what is that? Is this the main page now? I guess so. So recast and detour are like a library for making nav meshes and then querying nav meshes respectively. So it's a third-party thing, and that is what I am using to make these queries into the thing. Okay. So what's the next part then? I think the next part would be to, well, actually we should get rid of Bob. Bob has done his part. Thank you, Bob. We need to have basically like a target for the vehicles to drive to. So first of all, we need to spawn the vehicles over there, and they should drive somewhere along here. Maybe we should put them on the mission layer. So this mission elevator layer, this is the layer that is loaded when we actually want to bring in the mission objects. So there's like this gripper object here, this gripper vehicle, for example, which is not here unless the mission has loaded it. What is this? The test vehicle. We can get rid of that. And there's a scout vehicle in here. Yeah, these are all part of the test vehicle. That's probably okay. Can leave them in for now. They're not going to appear in the game unless we explicitly load them. Got to pick your battles with custom engine stuff. Absolutely, yeah. I'm using all kinds of libraries here. Like physics is powered by PhysX, for example. I'm not building everything myself. I would never get anything done. So yeah, I'm using all kinds of libraries to power this thing. Hello, Michal. Welcome. Right, so let's add the vehicles here. I'm gonna add a folder for them. I'm just gonna call vehicles. This is the spawn point. As you can see, it's on the base layer. So this is sort of like the entry point of the level, unless you have some special logic for something. The thing is that we don't really want to spawn this vehicle here. So I wonder where we should actually put this, but we could remove it, but then we need to figure out another way to actually spawn a vehicle here if we're not playing the missions. I'm just gonna move it off to the side there for now. I'm gonna leave it in the level, and in the vehicles, I'm gonna put 2 new vehicles. So there will be a mother vehicle. Let's put it like here. You can see where the terrain actually ends. There's some really funky things with the depth going on here, because this plane is like a massive plane. Many thousand world units, and so it's actually rendered on a different layer, a distant object layer, which means that these depth values aren't comparable, and it looks kind of strange. The camera is never supposed to be that. You're not supposed to be able to go that far with the camera, so it doesn't really matter. And if we again turn off the light maps, then you should see that it kind of blends nicely into that. But yeah, I can't put any objects here. They're gonna fall through the plane. It doesn't have any collisions. But we can put the mother vehicle right at the edge of this. And we can just be called mother. Then we have a scout, which can just be called scout. So these guys, they will be brought in when we load mission. And they probably need a waypoint to navigate to. Let's see. Let's put in a waypoint. Probably like around, right around there actually. Let's call this like, actually I'll probably want 2 of them. Because if we make both of them navigate to that, then the mother vehicles, then just like, if you don't move away, then the mother vehicle is just gonna like run into you, and it weighs like 50 times as much as a scout, so let's see. Let's call this scout intro target. Actually, it can be moved there on the very center. Then we'll duplicate this. Move it off to the side a little bit. Something like that. Set brain active true. And I think we'll have a message that we'll send to these guys when we want them to actually move. So let's, what should we call this, like, start mission. I think this guy is called currently when something called development scripts or something. Let's see. Or is it just dev? Helper scripts, yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is how we start the mission currently. We load the mission layer. And when the mission layer has been loaded, we send the message to it. Okay. Well, an interesting thing that we could do here is perhaps have have this also have on layer loaded. If layer name equals, and we have this mission elevator. Then we'll actually start the mission itself, but for now let's just print like loaded, so that we can see that this is actually run when this happens, right? And that means that we can comment this out, I guess, like that. Let's leave that for now. I'm gonna see if this works. So we run the start mission. Yeah, it actually doesn't happen. And that's probably because this is actually on the layer itself that gets loaded. Okay, well. In that case, we will do something a little different. I'm going to put here on the base layer, I'm going to put a script. I think a normal script will do. We need to activate this as the parent so that it's put there. And this is going to be called mission start script. Mission start script will have start mission just as before, and if we annotate this with the dev annotation, then we can call it from the menu above. Let's put a 2 there to keep it separate from the other start mission that we have there, just for now. And then self load layer name, mission elevator. Blocking is probably true, I think. And then void on layer loaded. Something like this, and here we can print that again. Loaded mission layer, something like that. Right. Oh, you know what? If we make this a Nemo script, and the Nemo script should be able to, let's see, self is I'm trying to figure out here if the campaign is active or not. Yeah, this is a bit more game-specific stuff. Let's have a look. Nemo script component .zig. Does this have the campaign manager thingy going? Campaign? No. But there is a campaign manager.zig which I think has like a flag whether or not it's active. Yeah. Right. Is active. Let's see if we can find something interesting with that. So means server campaign manager is active. Yeah. This is kind of what we want to look for. Yeah, Nemo script is so, or Nemo. First of all, Nemo is this thing here. So Nemo is a tool which is sort of like. Do you guys know RTC? RTC is sort of like the inspiration for this. So this is RTC. I used to use this previously, but I kind of created my own version of it. RTC is a tool that allows you to store a bunch of information about your game and then do like branching dialogue and that kind of stuff. And Nemo is sort of like my version of this. So here's the mission flow for the mission that we're building. This is something that I covered in yesterday's stream quite a lot. We actually spent almost all of the time here. So here's like a whole bunch of logic for what goes where, and like in the beginning, for example, when you see like it says "All right, Minerva's elevator station," blah blah blah. That comes from this. So it's like a flow graph, which allows you to lay out the whole sort of. First this happens, and then this happens, and then we wait for the player to do this, and then blah blah blah. So here, for example, we wait for a condition. Player at junction. Player at junction is a global variable, as it is called. Somewhere here. That's actually the first one. Has the player reached the T junction? So it's sort of like has the player reached this part here? A bit like Inkle, but visual scripting. Yeah, a little bit like Inkle. A little bit like Inkle. Specifically this dialogue thing is a little like Inkle, but you don't have, like in Ink, when you can put a lot of like instructions and comparisons and conditions and things like that into the actual text. I don't do that. I just have like a dialogue thing here, and then I have the logic outside of it. So a Nemo script is a script which, well, it's this component right here. Where was it? Here. Nemo script component is a Zig type. It integrates with the scripting, which is Angel script, by the way, if you're wondering what this language is. It's Angel script, and it's the same as this thing here that we're right here in this window. It's a little convoluted to have this many languages, but yeah, the Angel script has been integrated into the game engine in like for probably five years, if not more. And Nemo script allows you, it exposes a bunch of things that the like base game engine knows nothing about. The base engine doesn't know anything about Nemo, but this game knows about Nemo, so it can sort of hook it into the whole thing. And the Nemo script can do things like start a mission. It's also the thing that allows us to travel from one location to another, it would seem. But this thing doesn't seem to have anything about whether or not the server campaign manager is active. This is what I would like to read here. This flag. Because if the campaign is active, then basically we want to start the mission without having to go through any sort of like helper scripts. So we could expose that if we wanted to. Just add one more. I'll add one more entry to the Nemo script list of things that we are registering. Here's the register Angel script function. Do I want to do that? I'm gonna go get a glass of water because I've been talking so much that I'm losing my voice a little bit. Alright, let's see. I mean, that in itself is not a very big thing to do if you want to do that. But I wonder if we actually want to... Like, we want to call this start mission automatically. But only if the campaign is running. Yeah, maybe we'll try that. Let's do that. Let's do that. It's not a tricky thing to do at all. So Yeah, because this is essentially like a global pointer. Yeah, so you may now laugh. Well, that's what it is. We're on the server campaign manager. Can do that. Of course, this is not necessarily being called on the server, but we can check that as well. All right, let's just do this. Add here like a register component method. The declaration is something like bool is campaign active, and then we need a function pointer. And the function pointer should look something like this. Is campaign active. I don't actually even need a self pointer here. Yeah. I don't need that at all because it's, again, it's just a global pointer that we can read it from. So means server campaign manager is active. That's basically all that we need to do. And then we just hook that into there. Yeah, I think that's basically all we need to do. So I use Zig for gameplay code, essentially. The engine is C++. The tools, so things like this, for example, or this, or this, that's all C#. And annoyingly, I've used Windows Forms to make all these UIs, and now I'd sort of like to slowly migrate away from Windows, and it's all WinForms. So I'm not going to do that in like a week or two. It's going to take quite a bit of time to actually migrate away from it. But yeah, this is all C#. This is also C#, except it's actually running the game and the engine. So there's like both Zig code and C++ code being used here. Well, yeah, Zig is, the game is Zig. So we have a bunch of components here that we can throw onto the thing. We have some that's kind of like boilerplatey things. We have like the crane, the cargo crane, doing a bunch of things, or the cable segments, blah blah blah, this kind of thing. It's kind of like a scripting language. It's not really a scripting language. No, I take that back. It's not a scripting language. It is very much the language the game is written in. The scripting language is things like AngelScript. So like this stuff here. And of course, this is also scripting. This is just visual scripting. So there's definitely scripting. I wouldn't consider Zig to be a scripting language. It's essentially sitting on the same level as the C++ code, but I just kind of don't like to write gameplay code in C++ if I can avoid that. I do still write a lot of C++ just to keep the tech running and all of that, of course, but if you want to sort of have a language with a little less friction, allowing you to experiment with things, then Zig is much nicer, I feel. Yes, I also have AngelScript. So the engine is actually pretty old. It's still being updated, but I started it many years ago, and it is C++. And also many years ago, I integrated AngelScript, way before there was any Zig involved. And since then, I have exposed a sizable portion of the API to Zig, and that is how this game is made. So it's essentially like when we're building the Zig stuff, when we're building all of this, we're producing a DLL. You can see here means DLL. Oh, I can't zoom this apparently, but yeah, this is the Zig library that gets built when we build this Zig code here, and then in the main CPP file, this I can make larger. In the main CPP file, I quite simply, yeah, I just have a Zig library name. If you give the engine the name of a Zig library, or I guess technically it can be like a Rust library or Python library or whatever, because it's using the C interop. But anyway, it's sort of designed for Zig. So if you give it a Zig library name like this, it will just look for a DLL or a dylib on Mac or an SO on Linux with this name, and then we'll load it and kick things off from there. Why AngelScript over Lua? Yeah, good question. I don't know if there's like one answer. I worked with Lua professionally over many years, so I probably can't. Let's see what is the problem. Ah, right, I need to give it the address of it, of course. And today there would probably even be like better alternatives like Luau, for example, which is like a slightly improved version of Lua, specifically for game development, that I could have used. I don't know. I guess I wanted AngelScript because it's pretty easy to interrupt with C++. It's not actually super easy to interrupt with Zig, so I've had to write like an interrupt layer between Zig and AngelScript. You're British and you can't spell. Can British people not spell? I find that questionable. Yeah, AngelScript syntax is kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's also kind of weird. It has things like this, like if you give it a reference, I mean, this almost looks like a C++ reference, like would be something like that. But it's not. It wants you to tell the system whether or not you're giving it sort of like as a reference, just to avoid a copy, or if you're planning to actually write to it. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Right, let's see. Is campaign active? Yay, now we can actually call this thing. Right, so what I want to do here, let's delete that one. And let's call this the mission start script instead. So on message will get called when things happen, and I happen to know or shall we say, messages will get called when someone sends a message to this object. But I happen to know that there is a message called game started, which is sent to all objects that can receive messages. And at this point, we actually want to, yeah, I don't need that one, and I also don't need that one. Let's create a function here. I'm gonna call this start mission 3. I've lost count of how many of these I have now, but I'll remove the 3 when I'm certain there's only the ones I actually want. But this is the start mission function. The start mission function will load the layer. The layer is still called, what is it called? It's called mission elevator, and it is loaded in a blocking fashion. And then we have on layer loaded. If, and we can of course do something like this. Maybe this is nicer. We do string mission layer name. Put it there. And maybe actually that's typically how I do my constants. If layer name equals that. Then we want to send the start message to the control script. Blah, 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 blah. So it's this one. It's basically the same that this helper script here does. Yeah, load, test mission, that's not the one. The start mission, I'm going to comment this out now, I think. And this is the line that we're interested in. No, sorry, not there, but there actually. So we do like self print, debug info, starting mission, because campaign is active, and then we call start mission 3. And then again, because of this dev annotation here, we can just call this directly. So now we need to actually export this. So that's something that I've done before, because I've just played it directly from the editor. But if we want to play it from the game itself, as opposed to just launching directly from the editor, then we want to export it. And then I'll want to remove this play level command line here, so that we go to the main menu instead of directly into a level. All right. Let's try to load game. Load game should actually bring us into this the correct level. Yeah, look at that. And look at that. Starting missing is what I wrote, because campaign is active. So that's nice. So, but we can see the like subtitles and everything being played back. Starting mission. Let's make this a little more professional, perhaps, and also shorter. Campaign active. Starting mission. Right. So we can. I think we can take away that number 3 now. We shouldn't have more than 1, but let's make sure that is the case. Start mission number 3. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. The other ones are other things. Cool. So now if we actually play the campaign as you're sort of supposed to, and then when we travel from that other area to this one, then the mission will get started automatically due to this thing here, our new isCampaignActive function. I find it remarkable how fully featured this engine is. It's very much reminds of a AAA in-house engine tech stack. Well, You'd be surprised how many things are actually missing from it. Things like character animation is pretty much non-existent. It's kind of very much geared for this kind of like vehicle game thingy. But yes, thank you. That's very kind of you. Kind of you to say. Right, so now we don't have any vehicles there, and now as soon as we call start mission, we get those guys in there. That's nice. So let's make sure we actually have them driving now. And then after that, we should probably look at actually having that camera thing fly around. It's sort of a bare bones system still, so we'll see how we can actually, if I can actually make that work, remains to be seen. So right, so these two guys should move to these two guys, and to make that happen we need to send them a message to like drive now please. So what do we call that? Something like mission intro move, something like that. And then we can do self move to object. This is the mother, so it will move to level objects. Mission elevator, vehicles, mother intro target. We don't need that, and then we can copy this guy and copy it to the scout, but the scout should move to its own target. Scout intro target. Yeah. Maybe we'll actually move this set brain active thing here as well. There's one thing that we need to actually keep in mind here is that when we activate these brains, as they're called, basically like making it so that these can work as AI agents. You can't actually control them yourself, so you need to toggle off the brain when this intro ends and you are sort of supposed to become this scout guy. Looks nicer than O3DE. Yeah, I haven't used that one, so I do know about it. Isn't that like the one that was called Lumberyard or something previously? Which itself was like a CryEngine fork, wasn't it? So I kind of doubt that this looks nicer than that, but again, thank you. Right, so let's see. Mission intro move is the script we wanna send. We'll probably just we'll probably actually just collect everything together here under one function. Let's call it start mission. Or should we call it? Yeah, let's call it start mission. That's fine. We can move this here, and we can just call start mission here. Yeah, we could broadcast a message here, actually. That would work. Since we have two vehicles, they would both start moving, but it's probably nicer to actually send them as in like actually sort of faster on the runtime side, on the performance side. Vehicles, so we tell the mother to start moving, and we also tell the scout to start moving. What? 54. Start mission. Oh, do I actually have... No matching symbol elf. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's see if this works now. Start mission. Right, so they're sort of turning a little bit in the beginning. That's fine. They're essentially aligning themselves with the road. It's kind of fun. And actually, I don't want the mission with the dialogue and everything to start quite yet. In fact, yeah, it's breaking very hard. That's actually nice. Yeah, they kind of managed to stay relatively close to their targets. So now I can... Oh, actually I can drive this guy. I can drive this guy. That's interesting, even though his brain is ostensibly active still. Yeah, send script message. I wonder what would happen now if I did that. If I do send a script message to this guy. Let's copy the path. Copy full path. Mission start move. Unregistered function. Oh, scripter message. Yeah. Script. Skipped. Oh, I can't apparently type either, so it's quite fine. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's interesting. It's possible that we need to somehow like reset the brain if we want to have it move again. But okay, that's cool. Let's see if we can get that camera animation going. And we're like slowly starting to get kind of where we want to be. So with the camera animation, you typically want to use splines for that. So you have sort of like one spline which specifies where the camera is moving, and another spline which specifies where the camera is looking. And then you can smoothly move the camera along those splines. So let's see if I can remember how to do that then. Let's create a new folder here. Let's call this intro camera animation. We'll put in a curve path. What is that? Curve visualizer. That's probably not what we want. Draw path when unselected is pretty handy to have. And then I think we can start putting in waypoints here. Editor waypoints maybe. Yeah, so now you can see there's a line being drawn between these two guys. So it's sort of like, okay, where do we want the camera to actually start looking at things? Where do we want the camera to be positioned? Maybe the camera should be around here. I think I kind of want this pipeline thingy to be framed a bit nicer. And again, let's turn off the light maps. Just makes everything a little too dark because I haven't light mapped this particular area. Alright, so we can take that object and align it with the current camera. Selected object with camera. And now it is over there. Then we have the other object. And it should probably like move sort of slowly. And I think the camera should do like a movement like this, where it sort of starts looking in that direction and then it sees those vehicles coming in, and then it sort of moves sort of like behind them like this as they drive past. My inner Hideo Kojima, yeah, exactly. I don't think I have the ability to be as strange as Hideo Kojima. Nice guy though. I've actually met him in real life. But he is profoundly strange. Or shall we say his games are profoundly strange. Right, so here's a system that allows us to create these very like smooth paths. You just create more of these points and it tries to create a path that sort of runs through this. And we can have something that we call a path animation. I'm gonna call this camera position path. And we can put in a path animation here under the intro camera animation. What should we call that? Maybe just animation, because that is the animation. And this guy wants a position path. So let's copy that path and put it in the position path. And then he wants like a way to sample the thing. So a curve, for example. If we open this up, we can see that this is a smooth curve like this. So it sort of starts slow and then picks up speed and then comes to a stop again. Yeah, here's actually some from that intro we looked at earlier, where I have some of these curves that do strange things. Let's start with just a smooth curve. Look at target path. We don't have a target path yet, so we can actually do what we can do is we can do like path direction or path with offset maybe. And then we can build, then we can preview. So here you can see sort of like we see the transform of how that camera would be moving. And that's probably all right. Let's put in one more waypoint and then sort of nope, not that. And then bring it over here to have it make, actually probably one couple more. Because I want the camera to sort of approach the vehicle then from behind. Maybe not the mother vehicle, but the scout vehicle, the one that you're supposed to be then taking control of yourself. Something like this. And then we need to make sure that the camera animation length should be probably like 30 seconds. So now we can again see. It's probably not going to look very good, but I need something to sort of start with. Basti prefers strange to dull. Well, yes, that is very, very true. That's very true. But I don't think a lot of people have the sort of have the experience needed to pull off what Kojima actually manages to pull off, right? You can't just be like super strange and then expect everyone to like it. Or maybe you can. I don't know. I just don't think I will have the balls to do that. Quite frankly, the volume is low, is it? The volume levels look quite all right to me. It's possible that I was just mumbling something because I was concentrating on what I was doing. So hopefully that is the case. Okay, so now the way that we can actually play this thing is a little convoluted. But we can create something that I call a scripted timeline. This is sort of like kind of like the same thing as a sequencer in Unreal, where you just like put things after another on a timeline, and then they do something depending on what kind of event you put there. But I haven't created an editor for that, so I just have it scripted, and it is basically the same thing, except you just put these things here on the from script instead. So you have these add things, and we can add a camera animation event. Let's see if this is how we actually want to play it in the end, but I think it might be. So we want a start time and a duration. It's exactly how we would actually lay it out on like a timeline thingy. You have an event that you can then typically like resize, but here you give it a start time and a duration, and then you give it the animation data block name. Animation data block name we can get probably from here. I bet it's just this path, so let's try with that. And I'm gonna put start time as 0. I'm gonna put length as, actually I'm gonna be a little more fancy. I'm gonna create some variables or constants rather here. So start be 0, just so that you know later on what these actually are. Duration is 30. Data block is the name of that animation. And let's hope that is how it actually worked. And then we need to call self.command finalize setup. So it's sort of like you call add something as many times as you need. That's sort of like the way that you that's there instead of having that fancy timeline editor. But then the system needs to know somehow when you're actually done adding those things. Let's have a look here. Scripted timeline component.zig. Right, so we have finalize setup, then we have play, stop, and then we have a bunch of tests. We can actually start the mission from this too. That's interesting. Oh, thanks to doing my work here. Yeah. Finalized setup should be all right, and then we just need to call play. That's probably fine. Let's have the control script actually just start that for us. Self send message to level objects, mission elevator, intro camera animation, and timeline, and we'll just send it play. Then we have everything here from like one place. And one of these days I'm gonna make it so that you don't actually have to use strings to send these things around, but for now there are still strings. So it's called self.play. Okay, let's see. See what happens. So if I have it set up correctly now, when I actually start this, we should get a camera animation. Let's see, start mission. Nope. Nope, that did not happen. Can send script to control script, no such object. Oh, that's probably like the... that's probably the PowerShell thing that we did yesterday, still complaining. That's fine. Play. Yes. Mission elevator, intro camera animation, timeline, play. I guess we can print something here. Cam. To make sure that we actually get this message. Yeah, script messages are strings. There's actually another messaging system in the engine. Let's see, start. Yeah, cam. Okay, so we do actually get the message. Just something with this. Camera thingy here. Probably need to look at. Let's save this, and I'm gonna open up the intro because we have a similar thing here. Yeah, there's another message passing system here. If we look at something like game messages, for example, we have a bunch of messages. They are just enum values essentially, and they are ordered into categories, and these kinds of messages are sent like hundreds of them every frame or every update, every tick essentially. And that's been one of the things that have allowed me to expose quite a large part of the engine from C++ to Zig, even though C++ and Zig don't really communicate all that well, because, well, these are just like 32-bit integers. So basically from like day one I was able to have the Zig code intercept C++ messages sent from the C++ side and vice versa. So it was already kind of usable from the beginning, because so much of the sort of internal communication between things are handled via message passing. But the script messages specifically, and script messages aren't sent all that often. It's just like when something happens, when like someone enters a trigger or whatever. They are currently just strings, yeah. So there are a few systems here that sort of do that kind of thing. Right, let's see. So we have an intro timeline here as well, and yeah, this is the whole intro that we looked at previously with all the like Madrigal logos and intro animations. Script event, start mission event, camera animation event. Alright, you can give -1 and then it figures out the length itself. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good thing. Oh. Huh. Let me have a look here. Yeah, that's a game object. I think I gave that as a string. It's actually a game object. But a string can be can be implicitly converted to a game object, so that's why it actually did compile. But it probably doesn't work. Well, apparently it doesn't work. Let's see if we give that as something else. Chip. Here. Timeline. So duration can be just -1, and then it will use the whole thing. Yeah, that's a string. That's not what we want. What we actually want is a game object. You can still call it data block. It's level objects. Mission elevator, intro, animation. Yeah, there's a subtle difference there. I'm not exactly sure why it didn't work, because I think the string previously was in like the correct form. It's possible that that actually wasn't the problem. Yeah, so that doesn't seem to be the problem here. Instead, what we probably need to do is debug this thing. See why we don't get any camera animation happening. So let's export this guy. And let's keep fingers crossed, because Zig debugging is still sort of kind of gnarly. At least my setup is sort of kind of gnarly. So let's see, play, and we probably want to have one in the camera animation event as well. Let's try that. And that's the one we want. Start mission. So, data block name. We may or may not be able to see these values here. And we can see them. Mission elevator, colon, camera animation, colon, animation. Yeah, so that's this. It was the correct sort of format there. And then we don't have the event duration, so it tries to figure it out. And it figured out that event duration is 30 right there, so that's good. And that's good. Add event and catch error. Yeah, and then we step into Angel script. And we can see here play. We fire the action. Firing the action should make things happen. Let's see, propagated action. Where's the handler for that? Timeline component base. And play action fired. It's probably that one. Yes. And we go to timeline.play. And then there's probably some kind of update here, a tick. Advanced time, I think, is the one that actually runs the events. Right. Enter event, looks good. Yeah, event interface.enter. This is the one that should go into timeline camera animation event, right? Yeah, it just sends a message. Well, this is actually what I was saying earlier. This is one such case where messages are used to. This event doesn't actually play anything itself. It just sends a message. Play camera animation from level data block. So let's see where that is actually reacted to. So it's registered. Yeah, sent here, and it's reacted to here. Yeah, I can just call load game. When we traveled from that intro scene to this scene, we actually saved the game there. So I can just click load, and it just it actually does the thing for us. Starts the mission and all of that. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Camera animation. It's actually pretty cool. I need to tweak this so that the mother vehicle doesn't drive in front of the camera like that. I wonder why that didn't work previously. It might have something to do with the campaign being active, I guess. Yeah, now look at this. Just works. It just works. And we might actually want to start that that mission from the timeline as well. We can do that. There's the start mission event. It is as if I know what I'm doing. Well, that is not true. Yeah, mother vehicle needs everything. Mother vehicle needs, first of all, proper mesh and particle systems, and as you mentioned, the tire tracks and exhaust smoke and sounds and nav mesh obstacle component, as we today established. It needs everything. It has basically nothing. It has basically nothing. And I mean, the scout vehicles, the particle systems aren't final either, so right, why is that thing not triggering when I play it? What if we do it like this then? I don't click load game. Instead I just do refinery blockout, which really shouldn't be called blockout anymore because it's far from being the blockout. Start mission. Yeah, like this. This doesn't actually. Oh, oh, there they are. Yeah, okay, they do spawn in, but the camera thing doesn't actually play unless we are in campaign mode. I did not forget to save the script because it worked. It works when I run it in from the main menu. In other words, in campaign mode. Let's see. Can I actually capture that thing? Finery blockout. Start mission. So it doesn't actually even react to it. Interesting. What if I do load game? Then it probably stops there, right? Yeah, now it comes here. Pre-camera animation from level data block. It is possible. If you go here, game logic. So this client player controller needs to subscribe to game logic, but it does always do that. Okay. I think I know what the problem is here. I think I know what the problem is here. The problem is probably that it has, I don't think it has anything to do with the campaign. It has to do with the loading. So scripts typically run on the server. You can run them on the client if you want to, but they typically run on the server. And it's basically probably the same thing that we had yesterday with the PowerShell. That you have stuff that gets created on the server, and then it immediately starts doing things on the server. And then there's a bug somewhere that I need to figure out where it is that causes that something that happens to not be propagated to the client, or like the object hasn't been created on the client yet, if that makes sense. And then the message to actually do something, in this case play this timeline, sort of arrives on the client before the thing has actually been created on the client. We don't have the problem when we do the game started thing, because the loading of the level is synchronized in a way that loading the layer doesn't necessarily get. Let's see. So this one is the mission start script. We can run dev here like this. If we split this off into like how should we do this? How should we do this? Create game object, destroy game object, blah 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 blah. I was wondering if I had previously, and I think I still do have some timer functionality here, but it might not actually be implemented in the Nemo scripts on the Zig side. And that's annoying. That is annoying, but let's put in like the mother of all hacks. Like brace yourselves, because this is like that is the biggest hack you have ever seen in your lives. Put in an onTick function, and we put in a boolean. This is just to like verify that this is actually the case here. So let's put in a boolean that we call counting. We initialize it to false, and then we put in an integer which we call counter, and we make it no, actually we make it 0. Instead of calling this here, we set counting to true. And in onTick, if counting is true, if counter equals 1000, actually not 1000, let's make it something, because this isn't tick, so it's fixed step 60 hertz. So let's make it happen 1 second later. That should be plenty time. Or maybe 2 seconds just to be sure. And then we set counting back to false. Alright. Have you ever seen anything so hacky? It's a manual timer. So now we load the layer. We should give it time to load on both the client and the server. I mean, we'll probably like counter equals 1 would be enough, but let's give it 2 seconds. Start mission, loads the layer. Look at that. And now the thing loads. So basically we were creating all the objects and then immediately starting the camera timeline on the server. And then we packaged all of those creation thingies together and sent them over the wire. But we tried to actually play the camera animation on the client before those objects were created on the client. So that's why it didn't play. Alright, well, that would be something for me to figure out. I mean, obviously that should be supported, but there's a bug there. Other of all hacks. Yeah, I bet it actually is enough with like a single update. Let's see if it actually is. Yeah, so that was actually not enough. It's interesting. I also want the cam output to be taken away. Yeah, this would actually have worked, the thing that we had there, but it's better to have it as a game object, because this now gives us a compile error if this thing is taken away, so that's better that way. Counter 2, does that work? I mean, this is hardly a reliable way to test this, but yeah. Yeah, so apparently we need 2 server ticks for the client to actually have those objects created. Because like up until now, almost everything that we've done here is controlled completely by the server. Like this driving of this vehicle, for example, and spawning of it and all of that is completely managed by the server. But suddenly we have this camera animation here, which is actually driven by the client. So yeah, not good. Not good. Let's actually fix that. But okay, I need to fix that. I'm not gonna do it right now because we have a beautiful hack which fixes it for us. This guy is supposed to be us though. So how do we make that happen? I think what we can do is on timeline finished, we can quite simply say set single player avatar to level objects mission. Right, that should now make that vehicle the avatar. And actually, maybe we can make that happen a bit earlier, right? So add script event. At some time we can add a callback. So let's make that happen after like well, the animation is like 30 seconds. Let's make this happen at 20 and set scout avatar. It's probably something like that. And we'll just call that like that instead. Yeah, actually, I want the scout to still have quite a lot of speed when you actually get control of it. This might not look very good though, because the AI is still controlling it for like 10 seconds after that happens. But let's see if we actually get like the camera to jump to that. I don't remember how these camera things go, and now I have like two different camera systems fighting. Yeah, like it probably doesn't care because there's a scripted camera sequence going on. So the camera is this thing now, but I want to actually blend this scripted camera with the normal one. But yeah, now we are actually this guy down here, not that guy up there. Okay. Yeah, now I can't drive, so now the brain is active. I need to probably set... Oh, right, hey. Let's actually do it all in this. Set avatar. Set single player avatar is like get game object, right? And set brain active false. Maybe it should be the other way around. Yeah, I think so. Set avatar, that was the message name. Yeah, that's the problem with using strings as messages. You can typo them and you have no idea of knowing. That's why I wanna somehow make that nicer. But one thing at a time. Alright, I need to take another phone call. 1 second. Alright, well, while I was talking on the phone, I got run over by something. What actually happened there? That was interesting. Let's see what is actually happening here. Yeah, that's actually what I was kind of expecting to be happening. Like in the beginning, I was kind of surprised that the mother vehicle managed to brake as well as it did. Let's see what happens now. Oh no. No. Yeah, that thing weighs like 1,000 tons. Yeah, I clearly am the avatar because the camera is doing its thing, but I can't actually move. I wonder if I just delete this guy. Bye bye. Yeah. Oh well. Rain active false. I think that should figure it out for us. Let's make sure this get game object. That is like the object itself, isn't it? I think we have it here. There's like Zig game object component. What is it called? It's called something like Zig transform API, something with scripting. Zig, here we go. Standard AngelScript API. That's not the right one though. Yeah, this is the right one. Get game object. And it returns a game object reference, yeah. Yeah, so that should be fine. That is basically what we want. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have the camera blending here yet, so that's annoying. We can make this, put that like further down the road, and it will essentially like catch up to the vehicle a bit better. But I think like right around this point it should start blending with the actual gameplay camera, and that would make it a bit nicer. And maybe we want to have the offset be a little larger. That means that it's sort of like you're telling it how far along the path to actually look at. We can have a completely different path that the camera is looking at as it is moving along this path, but I don't have that currently. It's just a very quick first version of this. Sort of established. So now you can see that it's already sort of starting to look there toward the right. And I mean, this is kind of nice. Sort of the idea that I was going for. And now if you can sort of imagine it blending nicely with the vehicle camera, then that would be pretty cool. Seagulls in the background, yeah. There are lots of seagulls here in the summer. That's Finland for you. I wonder why the input doesn't work. That's another thing. We have many questions regarding this intro. Many mysteries. One thing that I want to fix, though, almost immediately, is that mission is triggered way too early. And we have it here. Start mission. I'm gonna comment this out. And instead put a comment here to now starting the mission from the intro timeline. It should probably be called something other than intro camera animation timeline. Let's actually have a... Let's move it out here. Probably gonna break something now, but oh well. I'll call it intro timeline. Like, this is the nice thing with having these level object references. Now if I try to build this, you get an error here, and you figure out that, oh, okay, I actually need to rename this. So it's called intro timeline. I'm starting the missing. I'm talking mission. Typing missing every time. I should be typing mission. And then this line, I'll probably need to copy and move it here. And so we can actually start the mission. Start mission event. And let's start it at probably also 20. And the path is this. It's a Nemo path. And we can put in some mission start time. And avatar set time. Camera animation time. Just to have a bit more organization to our timeline. Right. Something like that maybe. And now, yeah, they do like this weird. Actually, let's move them a little to the side here, or like not to the side, but let's move them, make them a bit more centered actually, so that they don't have to do this weird turn there in the beginning. Looks bad. Right, and there probably needs to be like a fade in or something, so that we don't see those vehicles being spawned in. And that's kind of nice. And now we should momentarily get the, yeah. So now I should be able to basically play this, but I don't. So what is the deal? And again, we get completely obliterated by this guy. Help me. I can switch to the mother vehicle as well, but I can't drive that either. Okay. What? Oh. Thank you, Windows. That was random. Yeah, the game object is the right one because the camera is set on the correct game object. So that should be correct. Blah 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 blah. Where did I lose my? There we go. Yeah, that is correct, because otherwise the camera wouldn't be targeting that vehicle. But it is probably something with. Yeah, actually, I was thinking I would debug this, but let's try one thing. And this is what I like about timelines: the fact that you can, with like a single line, specifically scripted timelines, you can just do like that, and now we have the camera animation commented out. I bet it's something with the camera animation. Maybe I should stay this guy. So we see the guys coming in. Alright. Okay, it still doesn't want to play. Set the brain active to true, we set the brain active to false. It's possible that is somehow blocking it, the brain. AI brain component. Blah blah blah. Brain active. Brain active. Stop any ongoing actions and clear the scheduler. Yeah, I haven't really looked at this code since I actually did the video series on the AI like half a year ago. I haven't really done any AI in a little while. Yeah, so it clears that regardless of whether you enable it or disable it. And brain active is actually only checked in a few places. Okay. Yeah, that's a super simple thing. Action context, action scheduler. There's the vehicle avatar component. Why am I actually writing it there when I should be writing it here? Vehicle avatar component. This is the guy that sets the inputs to the vehicle. Tick movement input. Can read input. Yeah. On became client local avatar, but this should at least be fired when that gets set. Set camera mode vehicle actually should be called as well. Yeah, it probably is, but I think the scripted camera animation is overriding that as long as we have that in place. Actually, I think since we have the camera working, I think all of this is probably completely correct. So maybe the more interesting thing is ticking this input here. Let's see if we can we reach that. I'll load the game. That should trigger the mission as well. And yeah, of course now we do it because we have a vehicle. We have a vehicle here. If I actually destroy this game object and now I put this, now we don't have an avatar, but we should momentarily have one again. All right. Yeah. So now we're ticking it again. Okay. Good. Good. But nothing is still happening. Yeah. Actually, I think the problem why the scout gets completely overdriven is the fact that it doesn't actually, since we're setting that avatar, it no longer actually drives to this. You can see that it's like it's over here. It's right where these two terrains meet. That's why it gets like road killed by the mother vehicle now, because it probably just like applies brakes or something when we disable the brain. Yeah. Pretty sure that is what is happening. Now we don't have the camera animation because I commented it out. Let's see if it actually drives to the end, to its target now. I vaguely remember having an issue with like with vehicles. Yeah, now we can see now it actually drives to the end, and then it brakes. And now we don't no longer get crushed by the mother vehicle. So when we set the brain to false, and we clear the layer, the action scheduler layer, stop any ongoing actions and clear the scheduler. So we have the action here. We've got the AI move to action. Right, we actually have a print here that I haven't really paid any attention to. If driving component is active, then driving component stop. That's interesting. AI driving component is probably the thing that is still like holding the vehicle hostage, essentially. Let's see, stop. Right, I'm using Zig FSM to model this state machine, and if we call stop, as we are following the drive line, I think there's the handler which handles the, let's see, pre-tick, tick, move to on transition, yeah. Blah 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 blah. Stopped. Yeah, I think this is the problem. Is it acceleration to 0? Is it the brake to 1? I think the problem is that this AI driving component is still sort of holding on to the car and just basically like forces these values on it. Apply vehicle input. So we need to deactivate this guy. Probably one of the like most complex components in the whole game currently. Right, active, active, active. Is active, deactivate. Yeah, okay. So AI brain component. Where was this? Where was this AI driving component actually? Who has this? Right, move to action has it. Right, yes. Yeah, move to action has it. Stop reason. Okay. Interrupted. Okay. Yeah, so okay. It is of course kind of a philosophical question now that like if we're stopping the vehicle, do we just want it to stop and then like hang around and then wait for new orders? Or act as like an independent AI agent, or do we just want to like relinquish control and give back control to the player? What we're doing currently is just ordering it to stop, and that's why it doesn't let us drive the vehicle then. And we can have a look at the output of this. Actually, let's cancel that still. I'm gonna put back that camera animation because it's kind of nice. So we have here starting move to action. We should get some reason why it is stopping. Right, so result AI movement result success. Huh. So it finished. And when it finished, it should probably, or at least we can right now make it so that it actually deactivates. Let's see, driving component. If it is active, then we stop, okay? Yeah, I just need to decide how I want this actually to work. But movement callback. Action state succeeded. Okay. So maybe we'll just do what's it called? Driving comp. I need to get it like this. Yeah, okay. Driving comp deactivate. To do figure out when and how to activate the driving can't type today. Something like that. Oh, is that a... Oh, okay. I need to try to do that. Uh, something like that should do. Still missing a semicolon. Yeah, this should tell us if it's actually like if that was the problem, but I think that is the problem because it has reached its destination. At some point I decided that okay, I I needed to actually properly stop now because it's like running through walls or something like that. Some other stupid thing. And that's why I made it so that it like basically like stands on the brake pedal. Apparently I didn't save that script that time. Let's go to mission elevator, intro timeline. Oh no, I did. That's weird. Yeah, I can I can already drive it here. Okay, cool. Now it works. So that's the problem. Yeah, the driving AI is like forcing it to stop. Now at least we know the reason. Okay. Okay. Well, I have a whole list of like bugs and things to look at now. Some of that stuff was actually kind of apparent already yesterday, but this was good. I figured out some things that I need to look at still before this mission can be implemented. But that's cool. And I need to do the camera blending. But I kind of like this already. It's pretty cool. So let's tweak this a little bit. I didn't press it quickly enough. Let's do one more thing. Like the vehicle is kind of off screen a little bit there at some point. So let's maybe move this back a bit more. And maybe we should tweak the beginning of this path as well. Let's take like both of these guys and move them off to the side a little bit. Something like this. Let's see if that looks strange. Yeah, it kind of starts by turning quite a lot. Not sure if that's really what I want. Yeah, I think that the car still goes off screen a little bit. we can maybe make this look forward a bit more. And I mean, I can always add a separate curve to actually use as a look at curve if I want to. And then one thing that we could do if we want is to actually have another one of these curves. What does that look like? Maybe that's actually what we want. Let's try with that. I can ease in. Yeah, this doesn't obviously look very nice now, but it's like now that it's not decorated, it won't look nice. I kind of have the opposite problem now that the car runs off the screen in the other direction. Let's move this a little back. The nice thing is that we can spawn those vehicles there off screen. It's sort of supposed to look like they've been coming from the big plane. So you're not really supposed to see that they're sort of standing still there. Yeah, this obviously doesn't work. But yeah, improvements. You can make the mother vehicle just drive there instead. Let's move it up a little bit. Now it is possible that the mother vehicle runs alongside the road and then there's like a 90-degree turn. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, kind of looks like that's pretty much what it does. Oh well. Yeah, I need to tweak this at some point when I have a better grasp of this camera blending. No point in spending too much time on this, but the scout vehicle is kind of getting away from me, so let's move that forward a little bit still. And maybe we could actually, let's see, map refinery intro camera clip 1. We could open this guy and save it in means work folder root. What is that? Is that like, let's see, map refinery intro? Yeah, so it goes into map refinery. And probably yeah, they have it just there in the folder. So okay, camera intro positions, and we can maybe tweak this a little bit, make it a little faster. Actually, the The beginning should be pretty nice. Should be pretty smooth. Yeah. Let's go with that. We should have the curve here in camera interpositions. There we go. That's our new curve. Yep, nope, that's not good. Let's just use the eScene for now. eScene was much better. Yeah, a little bit of decorations here, and this will work just fine. A little bit of decorations and then the camera blending. Because like at this point we should already have blended almost completely to the gameplay camera. So so it will catch up nicely. Cool. Yeah, and I think the mother vehicle can hang back there. It gives us a pretty nice intro. Maybe it shouldn't hang back there, actually. Maybe it should drive to one of these junctions. Right. Maybe it should drive to one of those junctions. Scout intro target. Let's put it down a few more of these. These are common waypoints, so that just like these guys. Can put it down one over here. That would be, what do we call that? That's like ruined house target. And that's like T junction target. Main gate. Or perhaps outside main gate target. Right? And now, if we send messages to this guy, we can just start with some dev things here. So move to ruined house. Like that. Move to T junction. Move to outside main gate. Just to try if this actually works. Should work, I think. Because we will need the mother vehicle to actually be able to drive around this place, and we will perhaps even need it to be able to follow you, at least like within certain boundaries. So yeah, you can see them yet, but if we click start mission, now we can suddenly see them, because now the object has been created. So that's nice. Let's see what happens. I wonder what it does, like a small turn there. Probably has something to do with the arriving at the destination. Okay, so let's ask it to drive to the T-junction. No. No, I don't want to. Alright. Why don't you want to drive to the T-junction now? Let's see. So it has arrived at its destination, and we can basically drive around with it. I don't know why the reversing doesn't work. Oh, I think I know why reversing doesn't work, yeah. It is because reversing goes into a special mode when AI is involved. So basically almost all of these bugs are like bugs in the AI system. The AI system which hasn't been used for like half a year. So I have some AI things to look at. But let's see. If we have the what is it, AI driving something or other. Oh, I know actually one problem that we have, or I pretty much bet that is the problem, is that we yeah. So we set the brain active for the scout. I had a set brain active false here earlier, but I actually commented it out when we were figuring out the previous problem. And now I see that we never did that. I figured that was actually something we still did for the mother vehicle, and that was why it didn't work. But we can, oh, that's not what I want. We can export this guy. And go into the code. And let's see, load game. And we should have these, yeah. Looks good. Let's put a breakpoint somewhere in some suitable place. See what happens. Alright, so I can already here control this car. Like I can go to the right here, for example, and just drive up this hill. Hello. camera is just continuing, but you can drive as soon as you are set as the avatar, which is of course fun. It's not a problem at all. Right, move to action. Let's see, AI driving component, move to, that's probably what we want to put one breakpoint and then move to action, like start in another. Let's have move to T junction. So get here at least. Okay. Yep. Move to. Okay. Move to. Let's see. that's not actually fired. Inactive reverse turn stopped followed driveline. So it's probably the problem that we don't have one at destination, right? And that's probably the problem here. At the destination. Oh, that's actually not a state. Okay. Well, then shouldn't be a problem. That's an event. Oh, but move to is actually. At destination it goes to stopped, and then there is a handler for move to when we are in stopped. Okay. Okay. We have, however, deactivated it when we arrived at the place. But there's one from inactive to follow driveline as well. Yeah, let's run that one more time. See what happens. I think this is probably the last thing I'll do in this stream. Try to get the mother vehicle to go where we want it to go. All right, so here we have this is on the server at the destination. That's good. Move to blah 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 at destination. Yeah, success. Good. So disable the speed controller. Reversing set enable set true. Yeah, that is something that clearly didn't happen because I was not able to actually reverse with this guy. I can move forward, but now I can actually reverse. Interesting. Let's move to T-junction. Get a transition. The event is move to. That's good. What is from? From is stopped. Okay. Yep. So we begin a new drive line. That looks good. Reverse turn. That should be fine. Enter handlers. Follow drive line. So now it begins. Sets the speed controller. All right, but it's still not actually doing anything. Apply vehicle input is not being called. Pre-tick. Let's see. Right, it's set to not be active. Is that the problem, that we need to activate it again if we actually want it to move somewhere? We had that deactivate function that we used earlier. Where was the? Here we go. is active. Initial value is false, right? So we're setting it somewhere. We're activating it somewhere. Here we go. Inactive. Yeah, it wasn't really in the inactive state though. I think it was in the stopped state. I think that is the problem. So here, when we are we're exiting the inactive state, we actually set it back to active. And that is what we need to do to make it actually drive around again. It seems like we are deactivated, so this is set to false. But we're actually in the state stop, like from is stopped here, so it doesn't actually set it back to active. Yeah, I think that is the problem. That's why it doesn't actually do the thing that we want. Doesn't do the thing that we want. Load game. Right, we can disable this for now. I think we should get 2 or 3 hits related to the scout. 1, 2. Yeah, that's it. And now we get this. Okay, so to state, to stopped. Okay. So why is it actually? It's the problem that we, if we are in stopped to state inactive. Yeah, okay. Now that should be okay. To state inactive from follow drive line. Huh. Right. So that's that. And now if we set it to move to T-junction, the from is, yeah, it's stopped for some reason. Yes, we do everything else correctly, but since the from state is stopped, not actually inactive, it means that we don't set that back to active true. Okay. do that one more time. Alright, from follow drive line to stopped. And from follow drive line to inactive. That's interesting. How can it be like from follow drive line twice? Don't quite understand that thing. I think I'm gonna have to start capturing these call stacks. Make sure I understand what's going on here. All right, so that's the first one. Let's copy that. Can I not copy it actually? Copy call stack, there we go. Right, it's actually a nested call. You can see here that we have we are at the destination, right? And then we transition through the Zig FSM stuff. Do the movement callback. This is the deactivation thingy we just actually added. Alright. And that puts it into the deactivate mode. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then there's another transition. Interestingly, this is still from... Yeah, that's probably not a very good thing to do. Doing this thing here. That basically breaks the internal logic a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice if we could like get this movement call back to fire after this transition, not actually during it, right? But basically what we can try is just to sort of figure out if that is actually the problem. It's like here, we'll take this out again. Autofix is fine. And so that breaks the avatar vehicle again. Doesn't deactivate the driving, but it is possible that it fixes this issue instead. Maybe it actually doesn't break the avatar vehicle. Let's see if it does. Yeah. It breaks it in the sense that it is now sort of forced to not do anything. I can't control the vehicle. But now I can make the mother vehicle actually drive places. And again, it just drives over us. Which is mostly just because it doesn't really have any whiskers or anything like that, and it sort of doesn't really have time to turn, because the wheels, they turn so slowly in like the steering sense that it really doesn't work. I'm just gonna delete this guy. Bye bye. And we can see how this deals with moving around the place at least. So it should arrive at this T-junction and then brake. And it does brake. Come to a stop. Let's see if you can move to the ruined house. So now it needs to turn actually quite tightly if it doesn't want to drive into that monorail pillar there. Yeah, the steering is kind of tricky. Because when you're steering this vehicle, you actually need to sort of take into account that it takes a while for the wheels to actually turn in the direction you want them to. Move to outside main gate. Can you make that happen, Mr. AI? Which way is it going now? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. Yeah. Traction point AI, ladies and gentlemen. It has absolutely no fail-safes or mechanisms for getting unstuck. That's not good. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. Okay, let's see if it can, from the initial place, the initial stopping place. I'm just gonna delete this scout because it's like destined to fail. If it can actually make its way to outside the main gate. Yeah. All right. So, move to outside main gate. Let's see what happens. Can you do it? I mean, I'm assuming it will probably take the T-junction and not do anything crazy like go there, but let's see. All right. Yeah. Pretty well behaving so far. and then runs into the main gate. Yeah. Yeah, with great vehicles comes great responsibility. I don't exactly know what what kind of helper systems we need to implement to make the AI reliable driving this big vehicle, because it's so ridiculously huge. Okay, well, a bunch of bugs in the AI layer. That's kind of to be expected. That thing has never really been tested properly. But still, quite a lot of stuff there for me to do before this mission works as intended. Right, maybe we should call it a night for today. Unless anyone have any questions. I will say that I like this camera animation that we put in here. I think it will work quite well when we get camera blending and all of the AI bugs fixed. Pretty cool. Or, well, it sort of does what I hope it would. Sort of establishes this place interestingly. And again, we'll get completely over driven. Won't we? No, we won't, because stopped over there. All right. Yeah, let's end this now. Been doing this for over 3 hours now, so thank you to everyone who joined today. Had a pretty good discussion going all through the thing. So, hope to see you in the next one. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. Leave a like, leave a comment, do all the things.